Hello, Nick here, and I got a video on new to me radio I just got yesterday, and I thought my friend Robert might get a big kick out of this because it's a tube radio, and I really don't mess with tube radios anymore, even though that's what got me started in this back in the 90s. So anyway, I saw this advertised, and it was from a reputable seller on eBay, the same guy I bought my Collins R390 from, and he said, hey, it's a used radio. He says, but everything works, and you know, if you want it to be perfect, it might need to be tweaked or tuned, or what do you call that, aligned or whatever, where you twist those little things in there and you put the signal generator on it. But he says everything works. So I'm like, okay, send it. So there it is. And we've got it hooked to an MLA 30 plus antenna, which is right outside the window there on that black tripod. Hopefully you can see that. There you see the gray Schedule 30 pipe. That's the antenna's bolted to that, and then there's a black tripod. So I got that coming in on a 2-position switch, and we're gonna compare it to this Icom 705. With a nice spectrum scope, and this is an awesome radio, especially considering how the size of it. But anyway, so let's currently we're tuned to 15770. So let me show you the Icom first. It's 1227 Central Time in Dallas, Texas, UTC 1727. So that's a decent signal, not necessarily super strong. Let's see if this thing can get it. And I've got just a little simple Radio Shack CB speaker here plugged into the earphone thing. So let's see.
Television is available on video streaming television services worldwide in more than 232 countries, territories, and regions.
Coming in pretty nice. This thing has an awesome S meter. That thing is so huge and it's so sensitive. It really, really is nice. Now this radio is a medium wave, short wave, plus it's a ham radio with a band spread function that spreads out the bands for finer tuning. It's mostly designed for just the ham bands, and it's got a band for like I think they're called 80, 40, 120, and 10, or 20 and 10. So, but you can also use it on the regular broadcast band for normal shortwave if you want to fine tune. Like maybe you got some stations that are only 5 kilohertz apart. You can use it for that. So when you're tuning, and I had to get a copy of the manual online, when you first start to tune the broadcast band, you're supposed to turn the band spread dial, fully counterclockwise. Now I've had radios in the past that were vice versa, where you had to turn this fully clockwise to a 0 position, and then you could tune this scale and it would be accurate. Now you can still always tune it, it just won't be accurate because you'll be off by the amount that you twisted it here. But for perfect accuracy, you turn this till it stops, which if you look at the scale stops like around 92 or something, and then if you turn it all the way the other way, it actually stops on 0. We turn it that way, and then this scale is supposed to be accurate. So that's the only thing I notice about this radio. Try to get this better for you guys, is the accuracy of this dial. So we are fully counterclockwise on the band spread. And we're dialed in on this, and I've tried to center up the iPhone lens because the lens is offset on this camera. So in order to get the lens perfectly in front of that, it's showing All right, so there's 15 and then there's 4 tick marks to 16. So each of those is 0.2. So technically this is showing just a line thickness past the 4th mark. So that would be 15.8 plus a little change. And we know that the station is 15.770. So we're off. 770 should be like there. Or maybe there. And we have to be there to be perfect. So since 1952 or whenever this sucker was made, it's something changed inside. It could probably, I'm sure it could be fixed and aligned and all that kind of stuff. And I notice this because I'm picky. All right, but everything else works great. And if that's the amount that it's off, and it's like that across all the bands, the actual medium wave broadcast band is even worse. The discrepancy is further. But it's very sensitive. It gets everything perfectly. It's very selective. While we're talking about that, let's look at it. So you've got the sensitivity, which is RF gain. Turn the volume back up a little. Then this is your band selector. So you can read them on there, kind of. 12 to 34, 4.6 to 13, 1.7 to 2.49, and then medium wave 0.538 to 1.58. So medium wave only went up to 1.6 back in the day. So there's actually a gap from 1.58 to 1.72, 1.72. So there's a gap there. 1.58 to 1.72 is the only gap on this. There's your volume. There's automatic volume control, which is like an automatic gain control. So if you turn it off, you have to manually use the RF gain to adjust the volume. Noise limiter is like a noise blanker. And then here's your switch between AM and sideband or code, CW. And selectivity is like bandwidth. One kilocycle, which is 1 kilohertz. 0.5. 5. Pitch control, that's a BFO. Fine tune when you're in sideband. Then the response button is interesting. So if you turn all the way counterclockwise, there's a power off. Then you've got a position for lower sideband, a position for upper sideband, and then 2 positions for normal broadcast. One is normal, far left, and then there's a treble cut, which cuts out the high tones. And through a little trial and error, I actually decided I like that one best for broadcast, the treble cut position. And then, like all tube radios that were designed to be used in conjunction with a transmitter, there's a receive standby. So if you want to transmit, throw that to standby. There's also a crystal calibrator. You can flip it on, and I think every 100 kilohertz, is it 100 hertz maybe? I think it's 100 hertz. It flips on a crystal calibrator, so you could fine tune. And but after, like I said, after all these years, that I don't know if the crystal calibrator's off or if there's something in the tuning of the radio that's off that won't let me get those numbers to be absolutely perfect. And to tell you the truth, so the error in my dial is to the right. Notice, like, so the visually indicated 15.8 and change is actual 15.77. So it means I'm to the right. If it was the other way, I could use the band spread to bring it back to be perfect. And it would be like that for the whole duration of that band that I was on. It would probably be perfect. But the problem is it's the other side of it. So I can only, bring it down so far. Anyway, there's also a notch filter up here. You can turn it on and off, and you can change the frequency of it. It's like getting rid of heterodynes, those whining sounds. But everything works really, really well. It sounds nice. And that's just a cheap little Radio Shack CD speaker. I mean, if I put it on a nice speaker, this sucker would really be nice. And I don't think there's an easy fix for that discrepancy over there. I think you got to get someone who knows what they're doing with those little mini screwdrivers to twist those little pots in there to align everything, and that's way over my head. So, there's also an antenna trimmer. So you can trim the antenna on every band, as a matter of fact. It's very sensitive on the medium wave band, not so much on the short wave bands. And it might be just a factor of the fact that I'm using a loop antenna, not a long wire. Yeah, so let's see if we can find some other signals to listen to on here. So flip this back.
And the place thereof shall know it no more.
Very powerful. Well, let's see if there's something, since it's early, let's see if there's something around 11. $11,860. So let's try and make this thing get to $11,860. So, band selector, we have to go down one, 4.6 to 13. And then we try to go 11,860. So we've got this fully counterclockwise. Let's run this to, we're reading the second band down. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 11.2, 0.4, 0.6, 0.8, so that's 0.9, so 0.6 should be right there, but remember, mine's off a little bit. So I need to go just a little bit further. And there it is. Now let's see if we can peek it. Not much help there. We're on maximum sensitivity. 5 kilohertz bandwidth. Pitch control is centered to 0. All right, this is the, we're listening to the treble cut. I'm gonna flip it to normal. Flip it back now. Not a lot of difference, maybe a little bit. Oh, one curious thing I noticed, and I'll show you this and then we'll cut this off. Let's go down to medium wave, all right? And we'll tune it to one of my favorite sports stations.
The guy who runs baseball ops, who's in charge of this thing, and who was there front and center and talking.
And you can even zero beat it.
That looked weird, even more so now, 48 hours later.
All right, so that's 1310, 1.310 AM broadcast. You can see
he's
we are
still kind of learning that
interview
little bit.
process of, like a couple
Yeah,
days ago.
it's way off more. It's much
He's
more
a
off
veteran of
than it
that,
was in a
and
shortwave
he's pretty
band.
polished. And Chris
But
Young,
it
when he
gets
does
it, and I
still
did some
learning,
medium
but
wave surfing last
a bit
night,
today
and
kind of
this
is
was getting
similar to what we
everything.
saw a couple of days ago.
So
Chris Young,
I want to
think he
show you
wants
one
the
thing
manager,
though.
and
So
and
notice
Chris
this is a
Young,
very
the
powerful
ownership
station here in
said,
Dallas,
I'm ready.
and we're only
I know
pumping
you
out,
gave me,
according to
right?
this,
You can take
7
training
plus
wheels off now.
on
And
the
wasn't that a
meter.
unique setup anyway?
But my
You know,
MLA
John Daniels in his
is
position
nulling
and
in the
also a
direction
general
of the
manager.
station.
It is.
I'm going to go out and
you do
twist
see that
the
in
MLA
sports
antenna
and
on that
baseball. You don't see it
tripod.
too much in football.
See, if I back
You'll
off,
occasionally
I'm going to
see
try
it
to
in
maybe show
basketball
you
where you'll
that.
have
I don't know if I'll be
a
able to
vice
show you
president. I mean,
that
even the Mavericks, they don't
and
call
the
them
meter at the same
general
time.
managers, That's fair. So, but you do see it a
Maybe I
little bit in
can if I
baseball.
change the angle. of
To
this
me, I
thing.
think
Hold
all
on.
you need to know is that at 2:45 today, Chris Young isn't talking. Ray Davis is. Yes. So whether Chris Young went to Ray Davis or Ray Davis, in my mind, probably more likely went to Chris Young and said, "Hey, I'm not really getting along great with this guy anymore. I think you can handle this.
Right,
this
so
is the move we're going to make." And that's all purely
The important thing
speculative.
is the
But
S meter
to me, the fact that
and the antenna.
quote the big man, if you want to call him that, we don't even see the guy that much. I have no idea.
Here's the S
You know,
meter,
what-
and we're
what
on
level of
7 and
involvement he
change.
has.
I don't know if you
If
can
he's
see
talking
that.
today, it makes me think that
We'll try it. So,
he
but right
decided
now it's on
it's
7,
time for the John
slightly
Daniels
over
era.
7.
If he
So
wasn't here
not
for
even
this
8, not even 7.5.
You know what I mean?
So I'm gonna go out and twist the
Ray Davis and
antenna.
Bob Simpson weren't here.
And I'm gonna,
when JD
hopefully
was
you'll go out there and
building
you'll see me be able to
10-year
twist it.
juggernaut.
Stand by.
Did it take Tim Calishaw asking that question for Ray Davis to hear that and go, okay, all right, all of a sudden now it's a thing now. All right, well, let's play that, okay? Yeah.
Yeah, John,
So the meter jumped up to 9 plus now. 9, bouncing slightly higher on at a good time.
Accountability for this. Is that a fair
So-
question? And what would you say to that?
Last night when I was
Well,
doing
absolutely
this,
fair question.
as the sun was setting,
I-
the jump was
separate
much more
accountability and
significant.
responsibility.
And
I
that
take
might be
a
just a
lot of
fact of the
responsibility
way
for,
medium wave works.
our performance over the last 6 years.
But I think that shows how sensitive this receiver is. And it shows you the effect of the loop antenna on modern receivers, on my best receivers, with the Wellbrook antenna, which is only a little bit better than this MLA, on medium wave and short wave. I really don't notice as much. But on these older receivers, yeah, I don't know if it's the meters are more sensitive or just the radios themselves, because modern radios have like built-in attenuators that you don't even know about. Like they'll attenuate the medium wave band. Like if you're dialing downwards from like 1.8, you get to 1.7, and you can actually on the Icoms you can actually hear the radio get quieter. And you don't know why it did it unless you read the manual to know that there's built-in attenuation when you get to the medium wave band. Anyway, that stuff didn't exist when this thing was being made. This is, you get whatever you look at and whatever you touch with the dials or switches, that's what you get. Okay? Ain't nobody interfering with anything you're doing. And that's one thing I like about these older radios. But anyway, I just thought you'd get a kick out of that. Like I said, it works great. The only thing is that the main tuning dial is just the slightest bit off. But, I can live with it. I mean, I know how much it's off, and it's off the same for all the shortwave bands, and then when you get to the medium wave band, it's off a little bit more. But anyway, I was even messing around with sideband on the ham bands last night, and on a radio, typically with a BFO, where you flip this to sideband, and then you basically use, even though it's got a band spread, you try to get close to what you're listening to, you still have to fine tune it with the pitch, the BFO. And this one, I was able to hit them dead on. I was able to get them to come in crystal clear. And usually with a BFO, they're so touchy and sensitive. You move it, you might not even think you moved it. You might just like bump it like this, and that doesn't even move, and it changes, right? Not this one. This one, it was, I could lock the guys in and they'd be there. It was awesome. But Anyway, that's it. We're close to 20 minutes now. And Robert, I hope you enjoyed my novice aspect of this old tube radio. And if you have any comments about what I'm doing wrong, please post them down in the comments so I can start doing it right. And other than that, I'll see y'all later.